Let's have a look at the measures of skewness and kurtosis. Now in this case, beta 1 is the measure of skewness, and here mu3 square divided by mu2 square is equal to 0. Why? Because mu3 is an odd ordered moment, and in case of a normal distribution it is 0. So 0 divided by what is mu2? mu2 is actually sigma square, but since the numerator is 0, your beta 1 is 0. Now what does that mean? That your normal distribution is symmetric. Okay, now what about the kurtosis part? Now the measure of kurtosis is usually denoted by beta 2, which is equal to mu4 divided by mu2 square, and that is equal to 3 in this case. You can find out your mu4 according to your formula. Mu4 is equal to what? 3 into sigma raised to 4. Just put k is equal to 2 in mu 2k, and from that you will get this value. So here when you put this and substitute it in beta 2, you will get what? Beta 2 is equal to 3 into sigma raised to 4 divided by what is mu 2? It is sigma square, the whole square, which is equal to what? This and this get cancelled, and then you get 3. Now what does this 3 means? 3 means that your what normal distribution is mesokurtic. The median of a normal distribution. Okay, now we know that the median, mean and the mode of a normal distribution, both are, three of them are equal. So let's have a look. Let m be the median of the normal distribution, then probability of x, probability that the values of the random variable x is less than or equal to m is equal to probability that x is greater than that is the values of x is greater than or equal to m. So both the probabilities are equal, that is 1 by 2. Now we know that a normal variate is symmetric about the point mu. We all know that because when we draw the graph of a normal distribution, we get a bell-shaped curve, and we know that there is a point where the mu, or the average, the mean of the x, or the values of x lies in, and that is why we know that that point, if you draw a line towards the center of the x-axis. Now, if this is the mu and this is x, if you draw a line towards the x-axis, we know that this part and this part both are symmetrical and equal. So we know that a normal variate is symmetric about the point mu. That is, probability of x greater than or equal to mu. I'm really sorry, this is mu. So again, probability of x greater than or equal to mu is also equal to probability of x less than or equal to mu. Therefore, mu is the median of the normal random variable x. Now this is a mode of the distribution, that is mode of a normal distribution. Now in order to find out the mode of a normal distribution, what we have to do is we have to consider the density function of a normal distribution. Then after that you have to differentiate this, that is f dash of x, and differentiate the density function and just equate it to 0. Okay, so when we do that, when I differentiate f of x and I equate it to 0, I get 1 by root 2 pi sigma. So here I am giving a minus over here, that I will explain to you later. E raised to minus x minus mu the whole square divided by 2 sigma square, multiplied by, I am differentiating this with respect to x, so multiplied by 2 into x minus mu divided by 2 sigma square. So this 2 and 2 gets cancelled, and then the remaining part is, so the minuses of this, when I differentiate over here, I get a minus over here. Okay, so again all these terms go to the next other side, and also the sigma square. Now to the other side means to the right side, so that becomes 0. Now the remaining is x minus mu, and it is equal to 0. Then from that you get x is equal to mu. So this is the mode of the normal distribution. So you can clearly see that the mode, median and mean of a normal distribution, three are equal. F of a normal distribution. So here MTX is equal to expectation of e raised to tx, which is equal to integral minus infinity to infinity e raised to tx f of x dx. That is equal to minus infinity to infinity e raised to tx 1 by root 2 pi sigma e raised to minus x minus mu the whole square divided by 2 sigma square dx. This is equal to, now what I am going to do is I have an e raised to term over here and an e raised to term over here. So again I have a constant here. So I am going to take this constant outside. Okay, and then minus infinity to infinity e raised to, what I am doing is I am going to club this this one and this one. So e raised to, so here also when I do the clubbing, I know that there is a constant term over there also, that is I am going to take minus 1 by 2 sigma square outside. So inside I will get x minus mu the whole square, and this one minus 2, again this is only tx over here, so minus tx, and then since I took 2 sigma square outside, I am going to write this over here, 2tx sigma square. I hope you understood that, dx. Now mark this as equation A. Now to this equation A, what we are going to do is we are going to add and subtract a term. Sorry, add and subtract two terms. So the first term is t square sigma raised to 4, and the other term is 2 mu t sigma square. So these two terms I will be adding to the over here, and I will also subtract it. Actually, it is not to equation A. Consider this as equation A. Now this term as A. No, the equation means this whole thing. Not the whole thing, but only to this, whatever inside the brackets, to this I am adding. So this, whatever inside the bracket is termed as A. Now to that A, I am going to add this term and this term. So when you add something, what you should do? You should subtract that also to nullify that effect. So I will subtract these two terms also. Now let us see how it works. Okay. So as I said before, what we are going to do is to this MTX here, e raised to this term, that is x minus mu the whole square minus 2t x sigma square, we are going to add t square sigma raised to 4 plus 2 mu t sigma square, and we are going to subtract what, minus t square sigma raised to 4 and the same term itself minus 2 mu t sigma square dx. Now you should note that all these terms are coming in the power of e. It's not somewhere over here. Okay, that should be noted. Now the next step is what we are going to do is, now you have something in the square brackets over here. Now I am going to just rearrange those things. So let's see. Now here you can see that this term, this and this. Okay, now I am going to club these four terms together. Now just think for a moment, and if you find something similar to what you have studied in your higher secondary classes, does this look like something like a plus b the whole square? Now I know that a plus b the whole square has only 3 terms, but here I have put 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. There are tick marks on 4 terms. Now here I am going to club this one and this one together. Now you just work on it. Okay, now you got, so here your a is this one, x minus mu the whole square, and your b is what, this one, that is a is x minus mu and b is t into sigma square. Okay, so I'm going to club this 4 terms, then I get x minus mu minus t sigma square the whole square. If you expand this, you will get these 4 terms. Okay, minus, you write down the other 2 terms. Okay, dx. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this up. Now, here 1 by root 2 pi sigma, this is a constant I have taken outside, integral minus infinity to plus infinity, e raised to minus 1 by 2 sigma square, the first term, okay, x minus mu minus p sigma square, the whole square, into, now this is the first term and this is the second term. So e raised to a minus b. If you have e raised to a minus b, what is the property? You can write that as e raised to a multiplied by e raised to minus b, right? So similarly, I am going to apply this property over here. That's why I got something like this, that is e raised to the first term multiplied by e raised to the second term. Now here this one is a common term, so I'm going to take this inside. That's how I got this. Okay, now let's see. Now here you will have the second term over here. Now the first term you keep it as it is. Now the second term here you will have to do some some calculations. I mean, not calculations, you will have some common terms over here, like sigma square is common. So you take the sigma square outside and it gets cancelled with this. Okay, then you get what? 1 by 2 t square sigma square, right? So that's over here. Then you have mu 2. Mu 2 is there, then a 2 is taken inside, so that also gets cancelled. Finally, you get this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this thing outside. Okay, now okay, I took this thing outside. Now this into what is remaining, minus infinity to plus infinity. The first term, I haven't touched that first term, so I'm going to write that over here. Now 1 by root 2 pi sigma is taken to this place. This term comes over here. Okay, there is no difference. I just interchanged their positions. Into integral minus infinity to plus infinity, e raised to minus 1 by 2 sigma square. What about this? Here I am going to do a small rearrangement. What I am going to do is, here instead of writing x minus mu, I am going to write x minus, I am going to give it a bracket, take the minus outside, mu plus t sigma square, the whole square. Okay, dx. Now, this is whole square. Okay, fine. Now, what is this? Do you find any similarity with your normal distribution? See, in the case of normal distribution, it was only x minus mu, the whole square. But in this case, it is x minus, instead of mu, here the mean is what? Here the mean is mu plus t sigma square. So, again, since the mean is mu plus t sigma square, and this has this is almost equivalent to your normal distribution's density function. When you integrate this value, you will get this as, that is this term which I have underlined over here, as 1. Okay, since you know that integral minus infinity to plus infinity f of x is what? 1. So this term you will get as 1. And finally, the remaining term is e raised to mu t plus t square sigma square divided by 2. T square sigma square divided by 2. Now, this is your MGF of the